What is up, my lovely people in BluCranium land? So for today's video, guys, I'm going to be drawing you all a lionfish skeleton. So this is not obviously an authentic or an actual lionfish skeleton. It's just my take on it. And I kind of added these piranha looking teeth to it. So if that's something you're interested in and would like to follow along, grab your pencils and papers, tablets and styluses, and let's get started. So I found this picture of this cool looking drawing or rendering somebody had done online of a lionfish, and I figured this would be like a good angle to draw it in. And I first started out by drawing this the skull of it, and the blue color that I chose in this is nothing intentional, but the more I drew with it, it kind of reminded me of when I used to draw with blue pick pen in my sketchbook. And it's kind of cool because it always had that nice rough look to it. Because when you do a rough sketch, just like doing thumbnailing, everything has to be, it's nice to keep everything loose because you're just trying to put down whatever your ideas are that's kind of flowing into your mind at the moment, because then once you start with the line art, that's when you actually can refine it and get the actual shape down. Thumbnailing is definitely something I've not done in a long time when it comes to my art, because when you've been away from art for a while, and like now with this piece, the reason why I got back into doing it in this style of the rough sketch and kind of tying in the whole thumbnail process is because that's what we used to do in college. Whenever we were assigned something to draw, our professors always told us to start with the thumbnail process, and just kept telling us fill pages up, whether it might be one page or two or three, and then slowly start narrowing it down to the ones that y'all thought were strong enough to proceed further and build off it. So that's one thing I want to keep doing as I draw and illustrate my skeleton creatures on this channel. I know for the first few videos that I did, which was, if I think about it, it was the graffiti skull, I just kind of went directly for the inking part and never really did a rough thumbnail sketch. So I think that's what I want to do going forward. It really does help with your ideation of the drawing and actually working towards the final rendering. So for this part, which is going to be the spinal cord, or the part of the fish where the actual rib cage would be attached, kind of wanted to give it these beefy looking bones, so it kind of looked like it was one of these really mean looking fish of the sea, kind of like how you have the great white shark. And as I said, this version is my version of what this fish would look like. I'd seen actual pictures on Google of what the lionfish skeleton actually looks like, and it's kind of a little skimpy looking, and it doesn't look as mean or as colorful and as attractive as it when it is alive. And that's another thing. And I always wonder why it's called a lionfish, because when you look at it, it looks more like a tiger or maybe a zebra with all the striping it has. And that's one thing that you know of if you watch a whole lot of wildlife channels. That Mother Nature has done a good job in having these fish or snakes or animals in the wild have these bright colors. So it's kind of like a warning to all the humans, keep away from me because I'm poisonous or I'm deadly. But it's just amazing to see the color patterns and the natural color that these creatures actually have in real life. And I think the first time I actually got to see one of these lionfish was, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a movie, I want to say maybe back in 2001 or 2 maybe. It was called Deuce Bigelow, which had Rob Schneider in it. And he was babysitting this guy's fish, and one of them ended up being the lionfish in these cool saltwater intake, or not intake, but in these cool saltwater indoor tanks, which I think are really cool. And I think that's the first time I actually seen one of these fish, and I thought it was really cool. And I thought, like, I was like, maybe it would be a cool idea to draw my version of it and, like, kind of give it my style. So for these rough lines, now what I'm doing on the top of it is kind of to signify, like, the spines of it. And I think if I was trying to recollect, when I was reading up on this fish, apparently the venom is this like a jelly type of a clear substance that is underneath these vines, and whenever something comes too close to it, these vines or these sphere looking things that are underneath the spines kind of come undone or pushed back, and that's how the venom is kind of like injected into something, like maybe a fish, or maybe if it's a human being that happens to come by. I don't know how toxic it is, but and that's something I learned from watching a YouTube video where this guy was actually showing how to cook one of these fish, and I was like, I didn't really know you could actually eat one of these things. But personally, I'm not the type to try out exotic things. I mean, I like to try things that are normal, and everybody else has tried it, and it's time and tested, like chicken. And so yeah, so for the fins over here, again, this is something just out of my mind, and I just kind of drew what I thought the fins would actually look like. I mean, like, if you look at the actual piece, the fins are a whole lot bigger, which I'm probably guessing helps it with its mobility when it's in the ocean. And then giving it these sharp teeth were, as I said, like, based off looking at pictures of piranhas. That's another dominating and cool fish that has these really cool looking sharp teeth. Almost, it kind of looks like a mini shark if you think about it. And then for these, the ribs, I'd first originally drawn just like, these oval or U-shaped shapes for the ribs. But then I wanted to kind of beef it up. So kind of went ahead and added these lines to show it like it had like almost like a 3D look to it. But yeah, for this whole part of doing the rough sketch, it's all about, just making it your own and, like, just getting rough ideas out there. So now I'm gonna start inking it. I'm gonna turn down the opacity to about 20 and then use a standard ink brush. This is, by the way, it's just a standard brush in Procreate. It's nothing fancy. And then for the inking, what I did was I pretended like the light source would be coming from the left top of my screen. So the lines would be thin at the top and then thicker as they get to the bottom. And that's something I've kept practicing throughout my drawing career, because that's something that takes time to get good at, to practice how something would look with the shading. And I think I may have said this in my other videos as well, but it really does bring a lot of character to the drawing. Like, when you make the certain parts of the drawing have the thin lines, and then some parts of it have the thick line art, it really makes it look really cool. Because I mean, when I first started started my drawing back up in 2018, I never used these pressure sensitive brushes. I mean, let alone I didn't have a tablet, so it was just my drawing book, and my favorite pen to draw with was the Sharpie gel pens, which I think are really cool. And I think the other pens that I like drawing with are the Sakura, those Japanese markers that have I don't know if it's India ink, but it gives you a really nice, clean, crispy looking line, which I really love. But when you draw with these styluses and you can get this nice different line weights, it kind of really makes the art really pop out. That's personally what I think. So here's another technique that I do is where I make a different layer and then I just erase the part that I don't want without having to mess with the line art that I've already done with. That's a technique that I used to follow when I used to draw in Photoshop, and it helps when you're drawing it's kind of cool when you're drawing it digitally, because now if this was something that I was drawing traditionally, I would have to be real careful as to, starting with the pen and then slowly slowing it down till I got to the teeth, and then, picking up the pace so that way it didn't kind of look like there was a line going into the teeth that didn't belong. So I also started doing the line art or the line work to give it the look of texture. So it kind of looks like that this fish has been through somewhat of a fight in the sea with other animals or marine life. So I think wherever you add these lines, it definitely gives that nice look of texture, and that's something that takes some time to get used to get doing it digitally, because I remember when I used to draw in my drawing book with my the big pens. I always used to use the pen at an angle to get the shading that I did require or was trying to get a certain look, and that's also something that obviously takes some time and practicing, because with traditional art, when you're trying to shade something, and if you put down a line in a spot that you don't want, there's no way you can really undo it. So the only thing left is either you try and fix it or you kind of change it into something that looks like it's part of the art. So I think that's one of the cool things when you draw traditionally longer. And with digital art, there's always the double tap or the Control Z. And I think that's another reason why digital art is still not accepted as a form of art completely, because and I think that's more what I was trying to say is as human beings, we tend to appreciate something that's been more trial and tested, and digital art, and I don't know, it's probably been around for maybe a few years, because now when you think about paintings, and when you think of drawings like the Mona Lisa and Starry Night, these are things that have been around long enough. A lot of people have seen it, and then there's the artists that recreate the pieces, which is kind of cool to look at different artists' version of these different paintings. So yeah. But drawing these, as I said in my the second video that I was drawing, where I make the different versions of these drawings, I like having to mix and match what is it that I like to draw for you guys, So the graffiti skull was the first one, and then it was all basically all human bones related, or different parts of the human body. So for this one, I wanted to try something different with drawing animals. So I thought marine life would be a good form of drawing to draw. But I don't know if you guys can hear the noise in the background, and if you can, it's my awesome family that likes to scream and talk to everybody that comes by. Man, I cannot wait for the day when I have my own space to draw, where I can just zen out and just be me drawing. And I think that's every artist's dream, to have their own place to draw and not have to be rushed into something. Like for me, when I first did this drawing, as I said in my earlier videos, is I like to be able to speak as I'm doing the drawing, so I can kind of give you my live take on what my thought process is. But when you make a piece like this and do a voiceover after it's done, your thoughts are kind of what it is at the moment, So hopefully that's something you guys enjoy. And the main purpose of this is just to show y'all how to draw different animals or different creatures in a different style than what you would usually see them in an anatomy book or an animal, I don't know, if it's animal book or a science book or something. But the other thing what I try to do is, when I make these drawings, is I try to always repurpose my art, where I kind of turn them into stickers. And this one, I don't know, maybe I might see if I can turn it into some sort of a design for a t-shirt, maybe obviously with a fish theme, or somebody that likes marine life. But it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, because I'm actually using Procreate for this, and that comes down to the whole thing of using raster art as opposed to using Adobe Fresco, where you can vectorize your art. That is something really cool. And once you get the hang of drawing with vector brushes and you know what are the capabilities, it's kind of really cool. Because with raster art, there's only so much you can resize it before it starts looking or it has that pixelated look, which after a while it's it doesn't look as great. But I think what Procreate is good at is, if you're doing this design specifically just for a t-shirt and you're not going to have to resize it too much, it works just fine. But if you're thinking about possibly using the art as a sticker design or t-shirt design, or maybe a print, then doing it in a vector format is definitely the way to go. Because it's amazing how you can reduce the art to the size of a postal stamp and it will still look as good. And even if you were to blow it up as big as a building, which I've always been intimidated drawing in vector style or in the vector format, because for the longest time, or actually even now, I've never really messed around or tried to draw it way too much with Adobe Illustrator, which is the industry standard. And when Adobe Fresco came along, I tried it out, and I think I was not a big fan of it. But then after they made a few adjustments to it, it's more user-friendly now, in the aspect where it almost feels like you're just drawing with a Sharpie marker. And you can draw a line like how you would draw it naturally on a piece of paper, and then you can erase it with the eraser option. And the other thing that I like most about Adobe Fresco is the vector trimming, which I don't know, I'm pretty sure I may have showed it to you what it is in my other videos, which I did illustrate my drawings. and it's the ability to intersect two lines and then have to just turn on that option and then just be able to manually delete the lines without having to affect the line art around it. It's kind of a really cool feature, and I think it's very helpful when you're doing text art or anything to do with typography. So yeah, so as you can see now, for this part, for doing the detail and the line art for the bones, I just did my own version of it, and or just let the vibes carry me and give it the look of that it's been old and weathered. Yeah. And the tail of the original animal, or not the animal, I'm sorry, the actual fish, I think, is a lot more smaller when you look at it. And I'm trying to turn on my computer and look at them, and it's more like an oval shape. So this is definitely not anywhere close to what it would look like on an actual fish. But as I said, when I draw my illustrations on it, I want to make it something that's abstract, something that's fantasy looking, and something that's just cool, so that if you guys decide to draw along and do your version of it, there's so many things you can tweak. You can make your tail long, you can make it short, or you can make it with tassels or a twine. That's the real cool part about art, is there's no rules. You can just add what you want to it. I guess the rules apply somewhat when you're doing traditional art. There's certain things you can do with acrylic paint, and then there are certain features that you can do with oil paint, which is not something that is very strict when it comes to digital art. That's another feature that I like in Adobe Fresco, which I've not really used, is it actually has the ability to make a drawing look like as if you had done it with actual, watercolor or paint. And I remember messing around with it for something that I was drawing, and what's cool is you can actually put, say for example, you chose blue and you started using blue, and then you wanted to use yellow. It would actually kind of digitally show you what the blue and yellow would combine and actually look on the screen, which is kind of cool. So it has this watery texture on a digital screen, which is just amazing to look at, just so satisfying. And if you think about it, this is something I know that my grandpa would never have imagined or never even seen. But I'm pretty sure that if he was still around, and if I were to show him how I draw on this tablet, I think he would be pretty excited to see how you can draw something on a digital tablet and then be able to convert it into an actual physical product, whether it be a sticker, a t-shirt, or a print. So it's kind of really cool, the amount of flexibility you have with digital art. So yeah, so this is what I ended up with the line art, and then I just gave it these few lines over here to add some more storytelling to the piece, kind of make it look like it got scratched in some sort of fight that it had with other marine life. So yeah, so went ahead and added these few little touch-ups to the line art, and whenever I do this zooming in and out, I always feel like the need to put a line over here and then look it over, and then I feel like it's complete, and then I was like, nah, I need another line over here. And I think that's the part of you need to know when to stop and get on with the coloring phase of it, because when it comes to detailing, you can just go all in on a piece of art that just has the line work. So after finally deciding this is the end of the line art, figured I'd start with the coloring. So change the background to like a dark gray, so it would have somewhat of a good contrast. And initially when I was coloring, I was going to color this, I thought of giving it like a nice bright orange, but then I was like, I like the blues, so I'd stick with the blues. And the reason why I showed the fins in this piece is because I wanted to depict the piece actually kind of like has almost decayed down, but it's just the fins that were left over. And then for the skeleton over here, I just gave it the old traditional beige looking look, because when you do it with these bright colors, it kind of makes it easier to do the shading. And this part right here, and just tapping the colors is just very satisfying to do. You just magically tap it and boom, you have color in the places you want. Try doing that with traditional art. So yeah. So now that we have our flat colors in, and just wanted to add blue for like the the jelly looking substance between the bones, kind of like when you have what you have in your backbone. That's what I was going for. And now for the shading, this is something that I've learned from another artist and following his YouTube channel, and this is something I never done before. And pretty much what it is you use the line art, which is this really dark shade of blue, and what you end up doing is you make a clipping mask where whatever shading you do goes to the layer that's below it, and then you just play around with the opacity to either keep it at 30 or at 20%, and then it automatically gives you a shade of the color that you're working with. And what's really cool about this shading it this way is when you're shading something, and like now for example in this piece I chose beige and blue as the colors. If at some point I decided that I wanted to change up the blues and make it a yellow or an orange, the shading that I did on this layer would automatically transfer onto the new colors that I put on there. So it really saves a whole lot of time, because like now if I did it with the old-fashioned, or not the old-fashioned, but the old style or format of what I usually used to do, then I would have to delete the shade layer and then just restart back up. But with this, it really saves a whole lot of time doing it this way. And if you use the eraser tool, there's something different that you can add, is you can just erase parts of the shading, and it almost gives it like that spray pattern look, which is a kind of really gives that nice cool look to the shading. So yeah, and pretty much the shading is just trial and error. You can try this method, or you can just use darker shades of the color you're using. And there are some artists that actually use different colors to show like highlights. That's another form of shading that I like to try as well. But as I said, when you make art and you try out these different things, it's all trial and error. If you're happy with how it comes out, run with it. And if you're not, obviously if it's digital, you just delete it and start back from scratch, or just go a step back. But yeah, the shading part is also really soothing and really cool to do, because the lines just kind of flow onto the screen. And I think for this one I use the selection. That's another technique which is cool to use, because you use the selection tool and just draw out a pattern, and then you can just fill it in, and then you have this automatic shadow effect, and then you can go back in with the eraser and actually correct it or take apart or add some color to it and get the shadow fixed or a little bit different than what you laid it down. But so what do you guys think so far? Has this been a fun little tutorial slash draw along, I can't speak today, of a lionfish? And is there anything else that you guys have tried? I'd like to hear it in the comments, if there's something that y'all have tried different, like maybe drawing. What other cool creatures are out there? I think an octopus or a squid would be another cool marine life to draw. And actually when I'm thinking about it now, I actually seen this reel the other day. I'm trying to remember, I think it was on Instagram, where whoever the person was, they were recording this octopus on the seashore, and this octopus kind of just jiggles along on the seashore and finds this bottle, and it's just amazing to see how it just fits itself and contorts its body to fit inside this small bottle, which is like 4 times smaller in size than what it is. But it's amazing when you look at the different things Mother Nature can do. And another master of color would have to definitely be the chameleon, or I don't know how you exactly pronounce it, but the colors that creature can change, it's just mind-blowing. Goes from greens to yellow to I think blue, and that's just the scales of it. So it's just so cool to see how it can just blend with its surroundings. But doing these illustrations, as I said, is a whole lot of fun, because it's just nice to just draw for fun and just let your imagination carry you wherever you want to go. And I know it's been 9 or 10 days since I posted on the channel, and I had some other work that I had to take care of, so this is why. This video was actually already ready, but I just never got down to actually doing the voiceover, so that's kind of why it's coming onto the channel. What is it, almost 12 days past schedule? I tried to my best to stick to a schedule, and initially it was Tuesdays, and then it got pushed to Saturdays, and then sometimes I try to post it on a Sunday. But for the most part, I try to stay somewhat consistent, because it's kind of difficult when you're managing 2 channels. I'm sure I probably mentioned it on my other channel, which is called the Blue Tablet. I pretty much just draw different things, and there it's not just focused on skeleton art, it's pretty much focused on anything art related. So now on my new videos that I posted over there, it's more drawing traditional cartoon characters of Indian origin. So I drew a man with a turban, a girl with 2 pigtails, and then a village lady carrying pots, which is kind of cool to go back and forth between drawing skeleton art and drawing humans, because it kind of keeps you trying to think what I was trying to say is keep your brain motivated to draw different things. Because I think for me, sometimes when I just draw just the skeleton art, it's nice to take a break from drawing just the skeletons and switch it around to drawing something different. And the whole point of that other channel is to just be able to show people how to draw who have got different levels of drawing skills, and just have fun drawing. And I think so far, I like how I like how it's coming out. And good gosh, the noises I hear in the background, it's amazing. So for this part over here, for the highlights, I just use a real light shade of blue which is almost like a sky blue, which I thought looked really cool for the highlights. And I kind of used my old technique of shading, which I just used the light blue on top of the shade of blue that I already have. So now in this case, if I wanted to change up the color, all this highlights what I'm doing right now, which is pretty much go away with it. And what I did over here was I used the option of the alpha mask, which pretty much what it does is it just locks in the colors onto the layer that you're working with. So it kind of doesn't go past the layer. So if you were to turn off the line art, you'd still have all this shading all confined, or the highlights all confined to the layer, and it would not be all over the place. That's another cool feature I like about Procreate. So yeah, this one's really been a cool illustration. And then I figured I'd try the selection tool to do the highlight for the fin as well. And I kind of liked how it came out. It kind of almost looks like a mini version of the ocean, like, you know, kind of like an abstract version of waves. So nice to try different things. Trying to remember what I selected or what I've decided to draw for my next piece. It's gonna be something skeleton, obviously. I don't know if it's a T-Rex dinosaur, or I'm gonna have to look at my notes, because I have notes for both the channels of things that I want to draw. But would I recommend starting 2 channels? I don't know. It's definitely a whole lot of work to commit to doing 2 different styles of art for different channels. But what I can say for sure is it definitely keeps you motivated to keep creating. Just like any other skill, I think drawing is something that definitely takes time and practice to get good at it. Like for me, my personal thing of what I need a whole lot of practice on is drawing human characters, and especially ladies and girls. But now if I were to draw a cartoon character, I mean, it comes out cool, and they look funny, they look goofy. But drawing an actual character of a lady, that is definitely not my strong point. I mean, I've looked at different anatomy books over the years and have tried to mimic what I see. And, you know, sometimes on some days when I've done these, these rough drawings, some days it looks nice, and then other times it's like, I'm like, man, I'm never gonna get good at this. But, you know, the main thing is you gotta keep practicing and trying something new, because you don't know how close you are to actually getting good at drawing something until you actually try it, you know. And hair is another thing that is definitely something you need to practice on to get good at. I mean, I know it's pretty much just strands of lines all squeezed together or pushed together to simplify hair, but when you actually try to draw and render it, it definitely takes some time, because I mean there's so many shadows and highlights in it. That's why I like keeping up with my illustrations and just keep practicing and just keep improving, you know, with every piece that I do make. Like all the ideas and thoughts that I have for my other videos that I would like to make on the channel, I always try my best to see before I even decide to make a video if it's gonna be valuable to the end user. Like now for this video, as an example, I wanted to draw the tiger fish, or the skeleton of it, and I thought this would just be a fun version to show people, you know, how to draw something in a different perspective. Like, you know, I mean, yes, if you look at like a book that has anatomy, I mean, you can always learn how to draw the human skeleton in the perfect proportions and size. But I think when you try to change it up, I think the skulls and skeletons kind of come out way more cooler. And I'm trying to remember what my thought process is. What I was going to say is the whole point of this channel is I want to just keep sharing my art with you guys, and the different things that I like to draw. And going forward, I mean, I want to make these videos like these fun, and it's not going to be exactly like a tutorial video, obviously, because I mean, as I said, I'm not a teacher, and what I try my best to do is, I just try to voice over my thought process as to what I was thinking about when I was making these pieces, So hopefully the end viewer that watches this video, or all my followers that are on the channel that do follow along, I hope I'm creating value for you guys, and you'll have fun drawing along with me. And so yeah. But if there's something else that y'all would like to see, as I've said in the other videos, drop me a comment, and I look through all my comments and I try to respond back to everyone that comments. And hopefully going down the line, and the videos that are going to come along, I hope I can create something that's more enjoyable for a lot more of a wider audience, or so yeah. But I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this video up, guys, by saying keep creating, keep drawing. I will see you all down the road or on the other side. Well, take care, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye for now.